right, so what's going on, guys? Welcome back, man. So we got this one. This one is gonna be a good one. It's exposing the lies of living in the Philippines. All right, so let's get into this, man. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's go.
YouTubers are lying to you about the Philippines.
All right, let's see.
Perspective because my family is from the Philippines. Today we're gonna break down the pros and cons, and by the end of this video, you may realize that the Philippines may not be for you. So first, I want to talk about the pros of living in the Philippines. Number one is definitely the cost of living.
Yep.
I think it's a little more expensive than Thailand and
Good
Vietnam,
people.
but it's still nowhere what you would be paying in Europe or in the West. Because most expats are only gonna be really staying in Makati or BGC, it's kind of hard to talk about Philippines as a whole because those are really just bubbles, and that's where I guess the people with money in the Philippines live. It's not really indicative of the rest of the Philippines. Of course, things are a lot cheaper in the provincial areas, but I don't think most expats are going to be spending time here. So rent in these areas are going to be ranging from maybe around $700 a month to upwards of maybe even $1,500, $2,000, depending
and that's
on what
cheap.
you get. Also, having people come and cook for you, clean your house, watch your kids, all of those services are extremely cheap. Filipino people are absolutely amazing.
Friendly.
They're some of the most friendly and hospitable people that you will ever meet in your life. However, they can be quite problematic, which we will talk about later in this video. The women here are beautiful, but I think it depends on your tastes. For me personally, I don't find the women in Manila that attractive. However, in Cebu, surprisingly, the women were extremely beautiful.
Cebuanans are gorgeous women, okay? I spent a lot of time in Cebu, and let me tell you, there is a lot of beautiful women in Cebu, okay? And nice people, down-to-earth people, and they all speak English, okay? Love it. Love it.
The women here are a lot more marriage-minded because of the Catholic values, especially the ones from the province. So a lot of them want to meet a guy and have kids and be a stay-at-home mom. Age gap relationships are a lot more accepted here. So that's why a lot of retirees come to the Philippines because 50, 60-year-old men,
they want someone to take care of them.
A 19-year-old or a 21-year-old, and it's quite normal. It's maybe not as safe as some of the other Asian countries, but compared to Latin America, the Philippines is very, very safe. You may have to worry about slight pickpocketing here and there, but a lot of the crime is targeted. For example, like a political assassination, or you mess with the wrong syndicates. If you're just an average tourist, nothing's gonna really happen to you. There's access to a lot of good international food. Surprisingly, there are a lot of Western options in the Philippines, but because it's an Asian country, there's also a lot of Japanese, Korean, Chinese,
a lot of Korean food,
Asian foods, and Filipino food is awesome as well. Sinigang is my favorite soup of all time. BGC specifically has a growing entrepreneur scene, so if you're looking to network and meet like-minded people, that is a great place to do it. One of the biggest pros is that it is an English-speaking country.
That is the biggest one of all of them. Honestly, of all the countries that I have visited, I have to say the Philippines still resonates with me, okay? It's somewhere where I would definitely recommend my friends, my family to go visit. But if you go visit, that's the thing. If you go to the Philippines, you got to stay at least a couple months, okay? I went there for 2 weeks before, and that 2 weeks flew by, okay? Then I ended up going for 3 months, and that 3 months flew by. That's how much excitement and fun I believe the Philippines and enjoyment you're going to enjoy in the Philippines if you go there. But you got to go there for at least, I would say, minimum 6 months. 3 months you get used to it, get adjusted. But you, after the 3 months period, I call it the honeymoon stage. That's when you really find out if you really enjoy or love the Philippines. And I think you won't want to leave after that. That's just my opinion.
American or someone from the West, it's a very easy transition for us. It's very easy to get a long-term visa there. The Philippines also has a lot of direct flights to anywhere in the world because there are so many Filipino workers overseas. There's a lot of beautiful beaches. There's a lot of natural beauty in the Philippines. But
don't forget how far you got to travel to go to these beaches, okay? I remember we went to this one beach. It was out where? Close to Chocolate Hill. Not Chocolate Hill. This was, I can't remember, but all I know, we went in the morning, we got there till the night, okay? It was 8 hours, and they told me, Kevin, the first day is all traveling. It's a 4-day trip, 2 days of on the beach, enjoying yourself, and 2 days of traveling. That's what they told me. And we took a boat, all that stuff. I can't remember exactly. Batangas, I think it was Batangas. I have a video somewhere on my channel. Go check it out when I went to the beach, okay? It was a couple of years ago now. I think it was over 5 years now. Goddamn, time is fly. But yeah, it was a long travel.
The money, the healthcare is not that bad. And if you're super into music, singing,
healthcare is cheap,
dancing,
actually.
karaoke,
Once you got money.
Philippines is one of the best places for it. Karaoke and Filipinos are like peanut butter and jelly. They freaking love their karaoke there. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Most men that go to the Philippines are not going for the culture or the views. They're going for the women. And this is a
Yep.
complicated topic because I personally have
Gotta be
no
careful.
issue with the passport bro movement. And even all of these older retired guys come to the Philippines to marry a younger girl. A lot of people make the argument that there's exploitation going on. I don't really see it that way. It's two consenting adults agreeing to be
Yeah.
in a relationship, and they're both
Factual.
getting something out of it. The man's getting a young, beautiful wife,
Okay.
and then the woman can essentially take her whole entire family out of poverty. Because it's quite common that as soon as she gets married, the man takes care of the rest of her family. I think the biggest issue with a lot of passport bros, they conflate sexual tourism with actual dating. A lot of these older retirees go to the Philippines and they're not trying to sleep around with a bunch of girls. They're just trying to find a younger, more attractive
Yeah.
wife. They really have that long-term stability that a lot of these
But I mean, the thing about if you're going to the Philippines looking for, SEX, I don't know if you can say that. Can you say that on YouTube without getting? Because he didn't technically say it. But anyways, if you're going for that, there's plenty of places where you can find good-looking girls who will exchange, some money for some kitty. There's plenty of places like that. You can go. What was it? The Walk or Alley. Where was that? By the Clark. I think there's Clark. There's places in Manila. There is places in Cebu. I think Mango. That's what they call it. Mango and Cebu. I stayed at Mango. Don't judge me. Nope. No, I did not. But anyways, I stayed at Mango, right at one of the nice hotels with the infinity pool. I can't remember the name of it, but I stayed there. But I heard a lot of stories, and there's plenty of places where if these guys want to go do, get the kitty, where they can go and exchange for it. I don't think if they're going for that mentality where they're trying to get free kitty and playing with these girls' hearts, that's when I really have a problem with it, man. There's plenty of walkers where you can go get a walker, but don't go ruin a girl who's looking for a nice guy, a decent husband, someone to take care of them. Don't ruin it for those girls, and don't ruin it for the other guys. The other guys who are looking for nice, decent wives, younger wives, but younger wives who can take care of them or whatever, they're older, or just younger guys like me who are looking for someone, who can grow together, someone who, you're going to want to build something together with you. Maybe start a family, maybe start a YouTube channel, help you along with the YouTube channel. Just saying, if you guys, you want to help me with the YouTube channel, just comment down below, hit me on Instagram, But any one of them, who enjoys doing what you do, because I like doing YouTube. Wait, how do you get back to me? But anyways, just what I'm trying to say is there's plenty of girls there. You don't need to go to the Philippines and ruin the ones who are actually looking for the good, decent guys, all right? Go look for a walker, pay what you got to pay, and do what you got to do. Exchange to consenting adults, like you said, do what you got to do.
These women are looking for. Personally, I don't think that's really an issue. Now, I will agree that there are a lot of sexual tourists going to Thailand and the Philippines, but this is an interesting thing because unlike Thailand, where a lot of creators go there and sexualize the women, I think in the Philippines, the Filipino women also sexualize themselves. One of the biggest culprits of this is the Filipina P. There's a lot of videos online about dating Filipino women. A lot of them are sex related. They're made from Filipinos themselves promoting that to the world. So I don't think like a lot of foreigners are going to the Philippines specifically to try to sexualize the women the same way that a lot of people are doing in places like Colombia. So let's get into some of the pros and cons.
And that's the thing about it too. If you're North American, come on, you got Colombia. Colombia is closer, okay? Cheaper to go to. You're gonna look for the kitty, go to Colombia. Don't fly all the way 16 hours or how many hours, because I know it's 16 hours, a direct flight, because I've taken that. That's the only way I fly to go to the Philippines. Direct flight. I can't do the layovers. 24 hours flying, no thank you, not for me. I'll take the direct flight, even though I'm paying another couple $100. I'd rather that. But yeah, go to Colombia. Colombia got some nice girls. Brazil got some nice girls. Just gotta watch your back a little bit and make sure they didn't put nothing in your drink. But they got nice girls.
Filipino women. Number one, they're extremely diverse. It's this beautiful mix of races that is very physically appealing to a lot of people. And that's why they've won Miss Universe so many times. A lot of the women here are loyal and very marriage-minded because of the Catholic roots, and especially the one from the provinces are still raised with traditional values. They are definitely a lot less promiscuous than Western women, and the country itself has a lot of strong Catholic values. A lot of them speak English, which is a plus, and they are incredibly short. I think the average height for the woman in the Philippines is like 5 foot, and the average height for a guy is 5'4". So
God damn, bruh, I would be tiring. Okay, I'm like 6 foot. Just saying. If I got a girl, at least you can wear heels around me. Okay, just putting it out there. You can wear heels around me anytime you want. You can wear heels all day if you want. Don't got to worry about that gap difference. But you being taller than me, I always be taller than you.
So if you're a short king, 5'5", 5'4", it's quite easy to find a partner there. Shout out all my short kings. They're also super fun at parties, similar to black people and to Latin people. They're out there dancing, they're singing, their karaoke is always brought out in Filipino parties. So they're just always having a very good time.
And they're very welcoming. I still remember my friends that I made over there, okay? Glenn, you know Glenn. You guys know Jeff. You guys know G. I still got all my friends over in the Philippines that I talk to here and there. I'm not going to put it out there and say I talk to them all the time. But we talk here and there, catch up, see how things are doing. And I do miss them. And I do know when I go back to the Philippines, they'll be glad to see me. And it'll be like things like I never left. Guarantee you. I may be a little older. Have a little more wrinkles. You know, a little more wrinkles. But it'll be like I never left.
They're also extremely open to dating foreigners. Americans are definitely seen as higher status, maybe not always with the best intentions, and they are also very clean and hygienic people. But what are some of the cons? Just walk around the malls in Manila and you'll see that there are also a lot of fat people everywhere. And in my opinion, the average Filipino girl is actually not that attractive. It's just the extremes are extremely beautiful. They are notorious gossipers. Filipinos, very similar to Latin people, love to gossip all the time.
I know, did you hear? And then she tell me, you know.
Oh my God, I know about this.
I got divorced.
I had this friend when I was in the Philippines, and she was traveling around with me. I don't know if you guys go back and look at my videos, you know. She was traveling, she was a great girl, and everyone thought that we were dating or something. But she was honestly, I mean, think about back now, if things were different, we probably would have been dating, okay? Because she was pretty hot. She was hot. And she was down to earth, she was cool. She willingly took the time off to go travel around the Philippines with me without hesitation. She just got up and left with me. Like, and I thought that was so down to earth. Thinking back now, if things were different at the time, I definitely think that I probably would take a chance. But, you know, that was the past, and I have no idea where she is. And trying to find her on Facebook, try to call on her own number is not helping. It is what it is. I just hope she's happy somewhere, or she found a good guy, and he's treating her right. That's all I can wish for. Who knows? Maybe I go back to the Philippines. Maybe I put her picture up on YouTube. Nah, that's a little too much. Let me know if that's a little too much. Putting her picture up just so I can find her, because I have no idea where she is. I don't have her phone number. She changed her number, and she's not on Facebook, or she's not on Instagram, and it's very disappointing.
My gosh.
The Philippines has a lot of social climbers because it's a very status-based society, which you can expect when there's a very high wealth inequality. So it's kind of hard to trust the intentions of a lot of women that you're speaking to, especially if you're American. I know stories of so many foreigners who arrived to the Philippines and got a girl pregnant within 2 to 3 months, and now he's stuck with that woman forever. Now, I'm not saying that the Filipinas are gold diggers, but if you've come from a very poor country with a high wealth inequality, those women will put a lot more emphasis into finances, and that applies to everywhere in the world, whether it's Ukraine, Russia. I would even argue the US, Latin America, and especially
girls.
Because I'm trying.
Girls in North America, bro. If the more money you have, you can be the ugliest guy. Okay, the more money you have, the more attractive you are. Basically that. Okay, money is power over here. Okay, not good looks, and you know, just saying your boy got some good looks, but not just good looks. You gotta have money. All right, good looks will get you so far, but if you ain't got no money, they'll be like, you know what, I'm out.
Chinese Filipino. A lot of my family was born and raised in the Philippines, so I kind of have this like weird half and half thing going on. But if you're like a white or black American, you are always going to be seen as the outsider. And when things go south, don't be surprised if all of them turn on you. And one of the big things is that if you marry her, you are essentially marrying the rest of her family. You may have to financially take care of the rest of her family. The involvement and the opinion of her family is going to be very important.
That's okay.
In this relationship. All right, so
I feel like that's fine. Family is good, okay? If family orientated, it's good because they want you to stay with the family and stay with that person as long as possible. I would think so. The only thing I get is when certain decisions and family wants to get involved. You know, I feel like there's like certain problems is between you and your wife or your spouse or the other person, your other partner, whatever it is. That's when it should be only you two. Like, serious. Sure, you can take advice and listen to other people's opinions, but when it comes down to it, it's between you and your spouse or your other partner. That's me.
Let's talk about some of the cons of the Philippines. I think the number one issue is the infrastructure. Overpopulated, it's extremely dirty, very polluted. They don't have really good options for public transportation. It's very crowded.
You
The
gotta have a
traffic is
scooter.
horrendous. There are a lot of natural disasters, and it's just overall not.
As a foreigner, the jitney was very hard. Okay, I would say that I took the jitney a couple of times, and it worked out for me. I guess because everyone saw the camera at the time. Had a camera filming myself. They're about like, oh, this guy's a vlogger. Let's help him out and stuff like that. But I feel like if you went to the Philippines and you weren't quite like a vlogger or something like that, it might be a little harder. I feel like the jitneys would be a little hard to get on board because you don't know how much it is, and sometimes they don't really tell you. Because I remember there was one time when I was in Cebu and I took one of those little trikes. And now at the end of the trike, I kind of asked him, what was the price? How much did that cost me? He's like, pay whatever you want. I looked at him. I'm like, no, seriously, what's the price? Like, oh, you can pay whatever you like. It doesn't matter. So at the time, I just gave him like 100 pesos, which I didn't know. And apparently 100 pesos was a lot of money for the trip I got. I spoke to my friends. They told me, no, Kev, that's like 10 pesos. I'm like, what? Like, oh, that guy got a big tip that day. I wish he had told me. And as a foreigner, if you're just going to the Philippines, these are things you will not know right off the back. You'll learn eventually. But when you're fresh off that plane, you won't know these things. Just that's why I say you gotta spend at least 6 months in the Philippines, then you start learning. For me, it was after the first month, second month, that's when I really started knowing the prices of things. And a lot of the times I took Grab because Grab was much easier. At least you know what you're paying for right away.
A well-developed country. There's also not drinkable tap water, which is actually a big issue in most of Asia. Out of all the countries that I've been to, poverty in the Philippines is some of the worst that I've seen in the world. Poor wages, a big portion of the population being extremely uneducated, and a huge wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots. I remember when I went as a kid, the population was at 80 million and it already felt super overcrowded, but just over the last 20 years, it's ballooned to 110 million. It's a population increase of almost 50%, so all of those issues are way worse. A lot of people also have the poverty mentality. Here's the metaphor I like to use. Let's say you're walking on the street. You have a beautiful street that's paved right in front of you. You're allowed to look at the trees, look far into the distance, look at the weather, because you don't have to watch where you're stepping. And now imagine you're walking on a road and it's completely broken. You can't really see into the distance. You're only looking at the next step so you don't get hurt. When you have a little bit of wealth and you're in a more developed society, a lot of things are taken care of for you, so you're allowed to think a lot more into the future. But a lot of people from third world countries, because they don't have a good pathway to success, they're only focused on what's in front of them. It's very difficult for people to get out of poverty, which is why a lot of these women are looking to marry foreigners, because if they get pregnant by a foreigner, they're able to take their whole entire family out of poverty. And unfortunately, in the Philippines, they have this mentality that in order to climb the ranks and become more successful, you have to put other people down. This, I think, crab mentality. The Philippines is made up of a bunch of islands, so I think the people are a lot more
That's what a lot of people speak about.
Nature. So please don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but the education system in the Philippines is extremely poor. Now, I'm not saying that the Filipinos are dumb by any means. It's just the access to good education is heavily gatekept by the rich. The country as a whole does not really prioritize education that much. The average IQ of the Filipino is on the lower side. The only way to get a good education in that country is if your parents can afford to put you in private schools and private universities. And this is really interesting because I would even make the same argument for the US. In the US, the average public school education is not that good, but if you're able to go to some of the most prestigious universities, which are extremely expensive, I think university in the US is a scam, then you'll get the benefits of a good education. But I think the majority of the population is quite ignorant. When you have a higher population of educated people, they get into more engineering jobs, tech jobs, things that really take the country forward. But when you have the majority of the population that is poor and uneducated, they are a lot more focused on trying to get ahead rather than trying to do what's best for the country. So one of my biggest issues is that the Philippines is a very materialistic and status-driven society. The Philippines is so diverse, so I think this can vary based on the place. In Manila, specifically Makati, I felt like everybody there was super fit fake and trying to be an influencer and social climb. So a big issue that I've heard from Filipino is that a lot of them are two-faced and are not afraid to backstab you. If you get with a Filipina girl, you're also getting with the rest of her family. So that means you have to put up with the notorious gossiping, a lot of the shit talk behind your back, all the judgment that comes from them as well. And the family will know everything about your business. I personally like to keep my things a little private. I have a mutual respect for my family, but they allow me to live my life. Yeah, that doesn't really happen in the Philippines at all. When I was in Cebu as a kid, we were walking along the beach, and I remember I cut my foot because there was an open metal bar just on the shores of the beach, and my whole entire front toe was like cut up and bleeding. I remember when we were younger, we were like island hopping, and it surprised me that the Filipinos that were working on the boats and stuff were throwing trash and their cigarette butts into the water. They didn't really care for nature that way. Tourism is one of the main.
Yeah, because they don't think that mentality. That's the problem. Think it's okay. It's gonna wash away, but no, it becomes disgusting. Because I've seen some places where it's pretty bad, the garbage, and it just keeps floating around. And I always wondered who cleans this up. Nobody. At least now I believe they're trying to clean it up, especially in down Metro Manila and New Manila. New Manila is actually really nice. Last time I saw there, they had really nice malls. The malls are massive over in the Philippines. So they're trying. They're trying to make it much nicer in the Philippines. But like again, the gaps are massive. Okay, 'cause I remember going to the provinces, north. I forgot the name of it. What north something? I forgot. North Kulo. But anyways, one of those provinces, I met one of the girls, the waiters, and I kind of asked her, like, I'm like, how much do you get paid, if you don't mind me asking, per week? And she told me per week, she gets 500 pesos per week. I was like, 500 pesos per week? Oh my God. Like, I was like, that is below. That's low. I remember, like, I don't think I'll survive on 500 pesos a week. But yeah, that's what they get paid in the provinces. And they have to do it.
Ways that you guys make money. So why aren't you guys taking care of the environment that attracts tourists? And it didn't make sense for me. Going back to the problem that just in general, the society isn't extremely forward thinking. One of the biggest issues of the Philippines, and the locals will tell you this, is the bureaucracy and the corruption. The Philippines is notorious for corruption, and this has happened.
Everyone's trying to get ahead.
Years. This is a good thing if you have money and if you have a little bit of fame. So if you want to get anything done, as long as you know the right person, you can kind of bribe your way to get what you want. But everybody knows that there's a lot of corruption in the government. People get there and take all of the funding that was supposed to go into infrastructure. That's why the majority of the Philippines is still extremely underdeveloped. I hear that a lot of the politicians are also paid off, and there's just a lot of shadiness going on in the government in general. And I've even heard stories of police officers stopping taxis for no reason, forcing them to pay a bribe or else they'll get a ticket. Unfortunately, the system...
Yeah, I will say that did happen when I was in the Philippines one time. I was with my friend and we were on... Where were we? We're in Manila and we were on a scooter. And I somehow got onto the highway close to the airport. And one of the officers, I actually stopped to talk to the officers because I didn't know at the time I was going on the highway. And the officer said I had to pay a fine. And I asked how much. He said, whatever you have. Like, whatever I have. And he's like, yeah, you got to pay whatever you have or you're going to get a ticket. So at the time, my friend was telling me, just give him 100 pesos. I just gave him 100 pesos. You know what? I told him it was a mistake and I was going to get off. Now we go a little further down and we get stopped again by police officers. And they told me, oh, you know, you're not allowed to go on here with your bike. I said, yeah. I just found out by the officer down the street. He told me I had to get off the bike, and he also told me once I paid the fee to go ahead that it was okay. Now they looked at me like, officer told you to pay a fee. What fee? Who said that? And I told him the officer on the next interchange, and like, oh, you're not. That's not supposed to be happening. That's not the officer who reported his name. I'm like, I don't know who his name is. And at that time, they were like, oh, well, we're going to have to take you in. And my friend, that's when my friend started speaking up. Like, she was not having it anymore. She's like, wow, we just paid this guy. And now you're telling me that we have to pay you guys or we're going to take our bikes or whatever. She's like, no. She's like, no, this is corruption. She's like, I'm going to report you to guys. I want to speak to what was she saying? She was saying, I want to talk to your commissioner. She wants something like that. And after when they all heard that, they just said, you know what, it's all right. They understand I was a foreigner at the time. I showed them my driver's license. I was allowed to be riding around the Philippines. And they said, you know what? It's all right. Go ahead. Just exit here and don't try not to get back onto the highway. And I said, yes, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't know. But at the same time, that's what this guy told me down the road. So that was my little 2 cents. Only thing that happened in the Philippines I can remember.
Is set up to keep the rich rich and keep the poor poor. So in my opinion, the Philippines is actually a little boring because there's not a lot of things to do. The main things to do seem to be going to a mall, maybe going singing or dancing, going to the restaurant, going to a beach, but I think that gets old really quick. Something I love about Europe is that you can go out and you can walk around and there's beautiful parks, there's really good public transportation. You don't really need a car to do anything. In Makati, there's a specific area called Poblacion where all the bars and all the prostitutes are.
Yeah, that's... Wait, did he just say all the prostitutes?
In Makati, there's a specific area called Poblacion where all the bars and all the prostitutes are. A lot of people hype this place up, but to me, it was just so gross and grimy. A lot of the prostitutes were men. It just seemed very trashy.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice because it's a little more of a business district, but they're not really like clubs or things to do. Because I have family and friends there, they were able to show me around and I got to see a lot of the lower key spots in the Philippines that locals go to. The average foreigner is not going to know this place exists unless you have a local show you around.
Yeah.
And if you live out,
or if you have a bike, that's how I would recommend someone. If you go to the Philippines, get a bike if you're able to ride a bike, because the bike is way faster than a car. All right. Whenever I go to the Philippines, I always rent a bike or a scooter because these cars. Oh my God. Hopefully he talks about the traffic. The traffic is awful in the Philippines. If you don't leave early, you're gonna get stuck in traffic, bro. The bus rides. I think that is why the buses, like honestly, some of these trips I went on took forever because the bus ride, man, getting stuck in traffic. One road, the highway along Cebu, by the sea, sure, okay, Manila, sure, but when you get outside, one road in, one road out, traffic's awful. If there's an accident, oh my God, even worse. You're not going nowhere.
Outside of the city, like my family does, you need a car to get anywhere. You can't just like take public transportation. You can, yes, order a Grab or you can order like a motor taxi, and that totally works. And even something I like to do in Southeast Asia is go to computer cafes and play video games. They don't really have that in the Philippines, the same way that they do in Thailand or Vietnam or a lot of places in East Asia. This may be a personal thing, but I personally don't really care for Filipino weather. I think Baguio is probably the place in the Philippines that I would like the most because it's like 16 to 21 in the mountains. Reminds me of Manizales in Colombia, which to me is the perfect weather. In the Philippines, you have heat and the humidity and a lot of dust and a lot of pollution as well. I always develop a cough when I go there. I would also say that the food quality in the Philippines is very questionable. Yes, you can go to the supermarket and buy some fresh stuff, but if you eat at a restaurant, a lot of the food feels like food from the US. High in calories, but low in nutritional value. It's a lot of like canned and processed food. I remember growing up, a lot of the Filipino diet came from imported food because they're an island. Yes, you can cook yourself, but one of the draws in being in Southeast Asia is not having to cook. In Thailand and Vietnam, eating on the street is cheaper than cooking at home. I mean, granted, you can hire somebody to cook the food for you, but I don't know, that just seems like a lot of work. That's why in Manila, they have a big obesity population because the quality of the food is not that good. And Filipino food specifically as well. Yes, there are a lot of rice options, but a lot of Filipino food is fried, high in sugar, high in fat, high in salt. Should I do Vietnam next? I'll leave my information down below if you guys...
All right, that was pretty cool. I liked it. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below. Bye.